All right, welcome Chicago and all of our live streamers out there. Welcome back to another episode of America's Real Estate Show, and happy Valentine's Day. Yes, we're so excited that you're here with us today. If you don't know me just quite yet, I'm Ashley, your host, and we are here every single Friday at 11 a.m. Central, bringing you the best of the best top producing agents from across the nation. And we have a phenomenal powerhouse with us today, all the way from Texas. So Chicago, I want you to make some insane amount of noise for $2.9 billion producer, Alicia Trevino.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. Yes, say hello, say hello. We're so excited to have you with us today. So happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. I wore the heart.
Yes, I love it. And the red
shoes.
that's right, the red fabulous shoes. So, before we dive into what is going to be our episode today, I wanted to shower you with roses.
Thank you. You know my story.
Yes.
Thanks.
Because I know how special your grandfather is to you.
Yes.
And you have fond memories of his rose garden.
She's going to make me cry immediately at the very get-go.
And I know that you always have flowers in your
do.
office and your home. And so I just really wanted to channel that entire spirit of your grandfather here. I know your family is so proud of you and everything that you've accomplished. And so I just really want you to feel the energy and the spirit.
Do you see the
that.
tears? I'm got a little, okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes. Roses are very near and dear to me. When I grew up, my grandfather had a beautiful rose garden, and we lived very humbly in Mexico. So I was telling Ashley how it was just like a little two-room house with an outhouse in the back. The one thing that was always present were beautiful blooming roses. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
So let's tell the untold story, right? I always feel like there's this untold story behind the story. So if you would take us back to the Alicia that was before all of this fabulousness, before the 2.9 billion, before the 100 mil in commissions, before the 13,000 homes, properties that have been closed, because you did not start there.
No, it was broke Alicia. I was, I come from very humble beginnings. My mom, who is an amazing woman, had me when she was a young girl. She was a teenager, and she had come over here from Mexico to go to school to learn English, but to also help a family to do chores and that kind of stuff. So, and in return, they would educate her. So, I can only imagine how lonely that must have been for my mother. But she ended up getting pregnant with me, and so they were like, back to Mexico you go. But we ended up in Dallas, Texas, and so and she gave birth to me in Dallas. And so she found another cleaning job there, and I was with my mother till I was about 6 months old. And then I crawled way too early, and I was crawling on the floor. My mom had left. Remember, she's a very young teenager. She had left the iron on the floor and burned my hand. I still have that scar, so I'm going to tear up.
Okay.
So, never invite a 50-year-old woman on your show. Yes, this is bound to happen. Anyway, so I went to live with my grandfather in Mexico for about 5 years till I came back to Dallas. This is terrible. Somebody give me a Kleenex. Anyway, so I have to tell that story because I think it's important. So I spoke Spanish. I mean, if anybody's here who came from Mexico and understands, or any other country, how hard it is to start. What the heck is happening to me?
That's right. Hey, The
I am
spirit,
a crier. I'm a liar. I'm a crier. Anyway, the
spirit is here. The spirit is here, my friend.
So, okay. So anyway, I came back. I didn't speak English, and I instantly was in an all-white neighborhood. My parents had moved. They're very ambitious. I'm very proud of them. My mom got married to someone, and we moved into really a predominantly white area. And so back in those days, back in the Stone Ages, there was no, what is it called? English, second language or something like that? It's like if you don't speak English, that's just tough luck for you. You figure it out. So I probably started speaking English when I was about in second grade. But it still puts you a little bit behind, right? So you just think, I'm not very smart, right, in those early years. So for a really long time, I thought I wasn't very smart. But I was cute enough to get away with it. And so, and I kind of lived in that world. I got married when I was really young, 18. And being and living in an all-white neighborhood, my parents had put me into private school, Catholic school. And so I got to see another way of living and another way of thinking. And so I adapted to that because I started being a secretary, and I was terribly bad at that. I was not a good secretary, but somehow I got away with it. And then I also worked in the marketing department of the Dallas Morning News, and that's a newspaper for those of you that are too young to know what a newspaper looks like. You turn the pages. Anyway, and I learned marketing there. So one day I was with my mother-in-law. She didn't speak English, and the realtor said, I was translating, and she said, "You should become a realtor." And that's really the only thing she said, and then I did. I was like, okay. You're 24 years old, and you think, yeah, I can do that. So that's exactly what I did. I became a realtor when there were actually no Hispanic realtors in real estate.
Mm-hmm. And you put yourself through school. You were going through night school.
Well, back then, there wasn't any of this fast track stuff that you guys get to, do where you can go night school or online or whatever. You actually had to take a course, and you had to go to college, and you then took your core hours, like actually college hours. And so I would go during my lunch hour, and I would take a course, or I would take them at night, and it took me about a year and a half to get my real estate license. So it was a long course because it wasn't as easy or convenient as it is today. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so finally got my license, and I'm going to tell you guys something. I had to take that dang test 7 times before I passed it.
7 times.
So don't worry. If you didn't pass your test, that means absolutely nothing to your selling skills, okay? So.
But you did it.
I did it.
So you became a real estate agent.
I did.
And you're thinking, okay, now I'm just going to become the superstar. But that's not what happened. It took you several months.
It did. So I'm going to ask you to imagine, if you will, like this is what it looked like in 1989 when I got my license. Everybody was, I can't believe I'm going to say this because I'm in my 50s, but there was nothing but like older women and men. They were all lined up on their little typewriters. They typed contracts back then. Smoked like chimneys. There was an ashtray on every table. It was just like one big puff of smoke everywhere. And so nobody wanted to help you. There was none like, get away from me. It was first I looked like no one else. And secondly, I just didn't fit, and I was trying to work part-time. And so I didn't sell anything, because it was just very difficult. So the very first house I sold was to my mother-in-law, the one that I was showing with the other realtor. And she finally bought a house for me. But before that, I begged and begged my husband to let me do this. Like I knew I could do it if I just had the time that I could go out there and I could sell real estate. And I don't know why I believe so much in myself, but I did.
And so from there, you find yourself in this position where you're behind in your mortgage.
I am.
You have a 4-year-old.
I am.
You have a baby on the way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I quit my job and found out I was pregnant like a week later.
Right? But none of this was going to stop you. And you end up at Century 21, which in your words they were the only ones who, at that time, were going to give you a shot.
They were, actually. I went around to some of the major labels, and they said, "You're not our kind." Like that was really the exact words they used. "You're not our kind." And Century 21 did give me an opportunity, and said, "Yeah, come on in." And it was amazing, that the owner, shout out to Yvonne Dower, who is still out there doing her thing. I hope she sees this. But yeah, she gave me an opportunity.
Well, and you know what isn't, now I'm going to start to cry.
I
Isn't that what it's all about, right? It's, we all need someone to open the door for
Right.
us and give us an opportunity. And she did. So from there, what I really want people to focus in on is that you did not let one thing stand in your way. And when you got to Century 21, you sought out a mentor. And that is really where things started to turn for you, which is going to lead us into this whole conversation that we're going to dive into today.
About teams, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So talk to us about how you just were relentless and you were not afraid to ask the top producers to shadow them.
Yes. So I know Ashley personally. So we're both from Dallas. And so last night we went to dinner and we kind of started talking about being fearless. And I think that's one of the biggest problems today is that people are just not willing to go and meet people and say hello and get to know them, especially if they think that they are a top producer or what have you. Now, I didn't have anyone at the office that I really knew. And let me tell you, I was really scared. I really was. I was young. I didn't have any money. I was behind on my mortgage payment. And then I had to make a decision on whether buying a sign or a name writer or making my house payment. And I remember going, name writer, house payment, name writer, house payment. Yes, I'm going to buy a sign. I believe in myself. And I was showing property and ran out of gas, and I told my client that I had forgotten my wallet. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money for gas, So, I was struggling. It was tough. And then I had an opportunity to go to conference. Now, remember, I'm a very young 24-year-old. I'm very naive. I got married when I was 18. So I hadn't really been exposed to, the world of corporate where there's conventions and that kind of thing. But my broker said we should go to convention. I was like, what's that? What do we do there? So what I saw, though, was this incredible person on stage becoming the #1 realtor. And guess what? He was Latin. And I was like, oh, my God, it's a Mexican that looks just like me. And I'm like, so afterwards, he got his award, and he was standing by himself. And he's standing by himself, okay? And I say that because if you see someone who knows more than you, you should beeline your way to that person. You should not be sitting back and waiting for them to come to you. You need to take the initiative to go to them. But I went to him, and I was working so many hours. I had sold 60 houses in a year. I was busy. I was pregnant. I was not a good pregnant person. I promise you, I had morning sickness every hour of the day. I don't even know why they call it morning sickness, but I had that. I had my bills that I had to pay. I had a 40-year-old who's my darling Ashley too. Her name is Ashley. And so it was really hard for me to get away to conference, right? But I knew that I needed to go. So when I went to conference, saw this guy, and I saw him alone, I went to him and I said, how could you possibly do 120 homes or something like that? And he was like, oh, I have a showing agent. Just kind of I'm like, what's a showing agent? Because I was in California at the time, and he was from California. And he goes, this is what they do. We probably spent 5 minutes together. But I went back. My sister was graduating college, and she didn't know what she wanted to do. She graduated with a psychology degree. And I went back, and she became a realtor. So she'd already become a realtor, and she hated it. Okay, and I was a realtor who, with no sense of direction, If any of y'all remember the Maps Code, there was none of this stuff where you pick up your phone, you have directions, right? It was like I was the queen of a U-turn because I could never find a house, and I still sold 60 of those suckers. So, so my sister and she hated any confrontation, and if any of you guys will ever get to meet me and know me, I love me some confrontation. You know, I'm the queen of negotiation. I will battle, anything. If it's $1, I'm going to talk to you about why we need the dollar, right? Because I just enjoy that part. My sister hated that part. So I was like, you go and you show the properties and I'll negotiate them and we'll do this together. And the team was born. So that's how it happened.
Right. So what I want everyone, again, to really be thinking about with this story is that not only were you fearless in asking this top producer, how did you do it? You went back to Dallas and you executed day one. You were like, this is the roadmap. He sold over 100 homes doing it this way. I'm going to give it a shot. And so you built your team and you led a successful team, and you're still on this journey for 25 years, which is insane.
It's actually
right?
35 years.
Well, you've been in that business for 35 years. You had a team for.
Oh, I did. I had the same team.
The
same core team, which was around 12 of us all together, for 25 years.
So the
same exact team.
Same core team for 25 years. Yes. That is absolutely incredible. So rare.
And when I ran out of them, I just I had children who became my team. So basically, that's the next generation of team. They grew up in real estate and they're my team now.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that journey and really, in your opinion, what it took to get that team together and to stay together for 25 years.
I think the very first thing is your team is your family. I mean, mine wasn't, not all of them, but some of them were. And I think your family is the best place to start, because who better can you trust than your family, right? And then I brought in some other people, but they were like family to me. I think the key to having a really successful team is we did everything together. We worked together, we had the same hours, we had the same goals, we were in the same track, we were all young, we were all having children, we all hung out at each other's houses, and we traveled as like a wolf pack. Like everywhere we went, it was the Alicia Trevino team. And we were just like, nobody understood us at all, and we were all Latin too, except for my brother-in-law, who we brought in later on down the road. And then he was the whitest white boy you can imagine. And everybody always thought he was just Latin. They would talk to him in Spanish and stuff. So I love that about us, that we were just so connected that they just assumed, even though it's blatantly that he was from Iowa. I think it was Iowa, but that he was, part of us. We all really worked together so cohesively. We vacationed together, we hung out together, our kids played together, and so it made us super, super strong. Yeah.
So, what do you think the biggest misconceptions are? What do you think holds agents back from reaching out to top producers, to asking for mentorship? What do you think that's about?
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't, because I've never been that person. And so, I kind of want to hear, from other people, like, I don't understand why you would not come and say hello to someone. It's just, you can't grow if you don't ask questions. And you have to continuously, there's always someone in the room who knows more than you. And so I'm always going to try to get in front of the smartest person in the room. And even if they just say hello and maybe they're too busy, but I can tell you that I've never really been rejected by someone when I go out and talk to them. And I've often, started talking to some incredible people, and it's usually the person who's just sitting alone. And so please, if you learn anything today, is don't be fearful of asking someone questions. The worst thing that can happen to you is that they're busy, there's no way that you don't get something from that.
Right, and let's, talk about the advantages. If someone is fearless and takes that step and reaches out to a top producer and gets themselves a mentor, I mean, how can it change their life?
Tremendously, and I think, I want to get into that part about teams, right? It takes a really long time to be a master of real estate, right? And there's so many new agents who just want to make $100,000 tomorrow. Like that's the common goal. Every time I interview a new agent, I want to make $100,000. I'm like, okay, so give me your experience. I haven't done anything. I still live with my folks. I haven't never bought a house. These are the things they're telling me right now. And so this is what's happening, and I see them, and I am thinking, you want to make as much as an attorney or a doctor, right? But you're not willing to take the time to educate yourself in order to do that. Social media has kind of made it to the point where, yes, if you're really good at social media, people will know who you are. But if you don't have the fundamentals, the education of how to put a contract together, how to negotiate a contract, how to talk to people, where are you going to learn that from? You don't know what you don't know. That is something that I say to people all the time. You don't know what you should be asking or what you should be looking at. Now I'm with a cloud-based company, and that's wonderful, and we have lots of marketing, but there should be 250 people in the room, right? Because that is such an important aspect. I never passed up going to a conference. I never passed up learning. I still go to as much training as I can. I do training 3-4 times a week. I tour property all the time still. There's no way that I cannot know my market without touring it or feeling what's going on in the market. I study like reports on whether the market is depreciating or appreciating. I mean, all those things, the agents will come to me and go, I've got nothing to do. I'm like, oh, come with me. Like, you 24/7, you could be doing something in real estate.
Right.
24/7. And if you are, you will make a lot of money. But give yourself some grace and learn how to do the fundamentals, and then go off and be a social media superstar, and all of that good stuff. And I wish, I'm not that great. I hate the camera. That's where I lack. I'm learning every day, but and it's outside of my comfort zone. So it's my new thing that I have to get past, right? Mm-hmm. Because we all have our insecurities. My insecurity is being in front of a camera, but I do it.
And you're here.
And I'm here.
You are here doing it
and
right
I'm here,
now. That's right. So, I mean, let's talk about a favorite phrase, and a shout out to Chad Smith if you're watching, collaboration over competition, right? And so there are a lot of different ways that teams can look. So maybe let's just give our agents an idea of what maybe some of these different options could look like, right? If they're solo right now and thinking about partnering up, that can look a lot of different ways. And I know one of the examples that we were talking about is co-listing, right? Even co-listing a property together.
Absolutely.
And how you can really team up with someone and become a powerhouse. So let's just give them some examples so that we can help expand their mind.
If you're going on a listing that you definitely don't know the atmosphere on, right? Like maybe it's a new neighborhood, maybe it's luxury, maybe it's a high-rise, whatever it might be, and it's not your specialty. I would go to whoever does do that and do it well, and I would say, hey, I have a listing, will you come with me? And watch them do their thing and learn from them. I mean, usually that's a 50-50 split. It is worth every cent. What you're gonna learn from that master in that neighborhood and that area is gonna be so much. Now, preferably with your same company. That's where we want you to stay. But yes, I mean, co-listing, that's one way that you can go and you can learn from a master in that area. Or partnerships, there's a lot of teams that are partners. Partnerships are a little tricky. I think the best ones are usually a married couple who can join forces, and hopefully they have different talents. Like maybe one is the salesperson and the other one is the background who does all that stuff, who does all the paperwork and follow up and all of that good stuff. We have, so many programs now that we can use. Before I had a contracts coordinator and a listing coordinator on my team. Now that looks like a VA. So you can have a virtual assistant, right? And your CRMs are taking over the tasks that we used to do on paper and follow up with. So you also have to open your mind to that. And that took me a really long time to understand. I spun my wheels for a very long time not understanding that I needed to switch my mindset to virtual assistants, and that's just the reality of it, right? I needed more buyer's agents back in those days, and more listing agents, because we were doing a lot of units. And that is switching over, and it's looking a little different. That is now a videographer, bringing on a videographer, someone who's tech savvy, but that also can be a VA. You do the video and you send it to a virtual assistant who can cut it up into pieces. So it does look different. And also don't forget that your team is your lender, your title company, your inspector. That is your team. So it doesn't mean that you can't walk it alone. These people are your core team. And as you expand, don't expand before you need to. If you are selling 20 properties, okay, you do not need a showing agent, okay? I feel like you need to at least be at 45, 50 before you need anyone. Because if you're giving away a buyer, that's 50% of your income. And if you're not already making what you need, only add a team member out of necessity, someone who does something better than you do. That may be the paperwork, or that may be showing property. In my case, I have no sense of direction, so I definitely needed someone to show property for me, because I became a 100% listing agent, and all of the buyers went to that person. If you cherry pick, you got a problem. Bottom line, if you cherry pick the great buyers, and they're going to be very disgruntled very quickly. So I stuck only to listings. By year 3, all I've ever done is listings, and all of my buyers have gone to someone else.
Mm-hmm. So, I love to talk about people having a zone of genius. And I think it's all, our personal responsibility to figure out what our zone of genius is. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to teams, and again, I just want to give people different ideas of what that could look like. So power in numbers, and maybe just even finding somebody to partner up with, so that real estate can sometimes feel like a very lonely profession, right? But it doesn't have to be, because there are so many of us out there who want to support each other. So maybe let's just talk about that a little bit in identifying, like you said, you figured out early on listings was your zone of genius, but you needed to find somebody else who had a different zone of genius so that you could be a powerhouse together. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think sometimes when people think about teams, they might be thinking mega teams, but it can look a little different.
Well, we touched on, if you're an individual agent, that your team is your lender, your title company. You should be inviting them to all sorts of events. Then, there is, just a network, if you will. Like, if you are a new agent and you're doing, 10 deals, connect with a new agent who's doing 10 deals, to connect with 2 or 3 of them. And then all of you go to the classes together, tour together, meet people together, and then work collaboratively together, but have the same goal. If you hang out with someone who's doing 50 deals, you're not going to be able to catch up. Like, you got to start at the same beginning. You got to, get together. And then here's another really hard lesson that I hate to say it, but if you're still hanging out with the people doing 10 deals and you start doing 40, unfortunately, if they can't keep up, if they don't have the same goals as you do, it's time to change that group of people. You are who you hang out with. You've heard it a million times. People say that as a real thing. If you're hanging out with someone who's doing 10 deals, you're going to have a 10-deal mentality. If you're hanging out with someone that wants to go national, you're going to have a national mentality, right? It is amazing how the fire brews in you. You remember how strong you are when you start hanging around with the eagles, and it's okay. It's okay to want more. I think so many people's like, oh, and you're going to be told, if you're one of those people that really is ambitious, oh, you're going to find so many people that tell you why you have to be so ambitious. Why do you have to want so much? Why do you need so much, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that 10 deals is not good. What I'm saying is everybody has different goals. There are mommies who want to be home at 3 o'clock, and 10 deals is their only goal. And that is fantastic, because real estate gives you that, right? And hang out with other moms. Hang out with other people that are just like you. You will be more successful if you find your group of people, your wolf pack, if you will, than if you're trying to do it all alone.
100%. Your vibe attracts your tribe, right?
Oh,
Your
I love that.
Vibe attracts your
Write
tribe.
that on my wall.
Yes. So I don't think that we can talk about teams and partnering up without talking just a little bit about commission, because I have a feeling that some agents might be a little bit fearful of venturing out into a team because maybe they're afraid that they don't want to give up some of their commission. So I love to give them just a different lens to look through. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the attorney-doctor scenario. Okay, you don't get to be an attorney without spending some major bucks on education. And you don't get to be a doctor until you're about 40 years old if you have a specialty without spending some major bucks on education. Okay, now here are some folks that want to come in and do $250,000 and they want to spend $1,200 on real estate education. Your education is the team. Your education is the 50-50 that you give a member of that team who has 20 years experience, 15 years experience. He's also putting up for all the signs, all of that stuff, right? Paying all the marketing. 50-50 is, to me, the only number that works on a team. Because once you start splitting that up higher, it just doesn't make sense. Now, that's my take on it, but that's the education you pay for. You will learn more by doing team deals and working under a good team. You will learn more in 5 years when you get your master's in real estate. And then you can launch and do whatever you want. If you are a true leader, that might be a faster track for you. Maybe you do have leadership qualities. Leadership qualities are something that you have to trust, you have to delegate, you have to, be able to say, okay, I'm gonna let you take care of it and trust you're gonna get it done, right? So you have to pick good people, right? And you have to know when you've made a mistake very quickly and know that you're not aligned with that person. So, but guys, if you are doing 10 deals and you can get on a team and do 50, just think about it. My team averaged 50 deals every single month. They were perfectly happy, but they didn't have to worry about anything. They didn't have to worry about how to market, how to get leads. They didn't do that back in the day. Now, things are a little bit different in the way we market, but the education is still the same. There's nobody that can do, they enter a mentorship program, do 4 deals. I'm like, they're 4 new homes, who cares? Because did you learn how to do a listing? Did you learn how to do probate? Did you learn how to do a divorce situation? There is so much. Did you learn how to do a small commercial deal? No. So it's like you have to give it some time. You got to learn from other people and stop making so many mistakes. So and it's not for everyone. And there are true leaders, and they should be the team lead. And then there are true people who just really love being in a team, who really do it not for the admiration or for their picture on a billboard. They get motivated by feeding their family, right? You know who you are. Folks in the audience, if you are a leader, you know what that looks like. And if you like working in a team and help. I look for these things. I want to help families. I want them to say that. If they go, what's my split? I'm like, you know what? I have a really great place for you to go. It's not on the team,
Right.
And that's okay. I am not saying that being ambitious or wanting that, but I think that things have gotten a little out of control in the marketplace because you're going to get exactly that. If you're a brand new agent and you're getting a big old split from whatever broker or 100%, you go to a 100% shop, you're going to get exactly that, absolutely nothing. And so, 100% of nothing is nothing. Right? And if you are not doing 25, 30 deals, then you're not getting enough clients to have a past client base, to give you referrals. This is a referral business. This is where we get our people. This is what's going to give you the longevity. The good thing is there is cloud-based companies now that you can make income in other different ways. There's rev share and there's stock and all that good stuff, and that's a new wave of real estate today. And that's an extra way to make money. But your livelihood is selling properties, right? That's all like the cherry on top. That's a really nice big cherry. But you got to learn to sell real estate, to have a lot of clients, to have past client referrals, to have repeat business, and that only comes from doing a lot of deals.
Right.
And a lot of deals, I'm talking, I think you have to do like 50 deals a year, and out of those 50, I think the statistics are like 10 will give you referrals, right? and then you have to wait 7 years for them to be a repeat client. So think about it. You know, if you're only doing 10 deals a year, 12 deals a year, it's going to take you a really long time to get to where you want to be if you want to do 100,000. And you're going to spend a lot of money. Oh my God, the money you have to spend to market yourself. It's $30,000 minimum a year.
Yes.
To actually make $100,000.
So, I mean, let's dive into that for a minute, because, you know, branding and marketing is very important and significant in this business. So what do you think the advantage is for an agent to join a team that already has a massive amount of branding? And just like you were talking about, let's, you know, maybe try and break down some of the numbers like you were just starting to do, to again just get them thinking in a different way, right? They might be looking at the split, but they're gaining so much more with the amount of money that they're not having to personally invest. So let's just maybe give them a different way of looking at this.
So if you join a really good team where the team leader pays for everything, pays all the marketing, already has done the branding, then they're paying for the signs, they're paying for the lot boxes, they're paying for all that goes into marketing, all the open house signs, all the drinks at the open house signs. You know, they've already got established people who want to sponsor with them that you don't have to establish. You know, so it really just depends on the team and how big they are and how successful, right? You have to do your part as an agent. So what is your value? Your value is that you're actually closing deals. You shouldn't be like, I want a deal. You're going to get the deals. If you're closing deals on a consistent basis, I'm going to go back to the well. Like the agent who did really well for me, who every time I give him a lead, it's done deal and we get to closing, that's the agent I'm going to go back to, right? But if I give you a lead and I give you a lead and I give you a lead and you never close the lead, pretty soon you're not going to get any more leads. We're going to have a conversation about how we need to move on, right? So that's the opposite side. Like, why would a leader give you leads? And it's not about that. It's about you guys learning from the leader, watching the leader, actually seeing how he's getting leads, right? Because they're spending lots of money. Maybe it's on billboard advertising. You know, now it's really the team names that are really big as opposed to the companies. A lot of that fell on because the splits got higher, so there is no phone time. Phone time went away. I don't know if any of you guys ever had phone time, but phone time was the way to get listings. And so when you worked with a big box office, you would sit at the front, the phone calls would come, and that's because the only way to get the info was through us. Now you go buy the property, you put in the address, and you can get everything from that. So things are rapidly changing. The marketing you have to do. You did have a guest that I was like amazed with him. He was like 24 years old, and he did Facebook advertising, but he was working 80 hours a week. Remember him?
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's ready for a buyer's agent. I need to talk to him.
Shout out to Brian.
Brian, where are you? Anyway, that to me is, you know, that's when you're standard. Like, okay, I've done it. I've mastered all the stuff that I need to do. I don't like what this is. I don't like doing this. Then if that is you and you're doing those bigger deals, 50 deals, and you hate the paperwork, then hire an assistant, okay? If you hate showing property, but you're good at listings, then hire a buyer's agent. You know, hire to what you're not good at. And don't hire the same exact person as you, because, man, that does not work. It doesn't. I've hired people who are leaders, and all they do is, I mean, they hang around for about three months, 6 months, and they pick it up so quick, and then they become leaders too. So now I encourage them. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to put you on my team. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mentor you, because I can see it. I can spot a leader in 2 seconds, right?
Right.
And they just have natural ability to delegate, to lead. They're fearless. They're out there on their own, you know. It's more the shy people who are more on the shy side that aren't going to do the work that you ask them to do, that aren't going to do the door knocking. That, you know, those are the ones that, but they're steady Eddies. I mean, they're just there all the time, and they do it because they care, and they're really good at it. Those are the ones that are the nurturers that you need to do things that, you know, that to work with the buyers, right? And then skill set on the listing side, if you bring in someone to help you with the listings. That's way down the line, you know. Building teams can look very, very different. I made the very serious mistake of disassociating myself from my team, and it wasn't because I didn't even know I did it. I actually, when the team kind of fell apart is when I got divorced and my life changed. And now I wasn't married and didn't have kids. My kids had grown up. And then I moved to a high rise, so I didn't live in the same area. And everything changed. And all this time I was like, my team deserted me. And it wasn't. I let my team down. I deserted them without even knowing I had done it, because I was like already looking at the next big shiny thing, and that was high-rise sales, and they were still over here in residential, you know. And I recently found that out because there's a book called Let Them Theory. You guys should absolutely download that book. You could get it on audio. That book is just, a counselor is what it is. You start seeing things from a very different perspective. And it's the first time, that I really realized, oh my God, I did it. I abandoned them because they counted on me to be around. And I changed my life so much. They didn't know what to do. They were like, what? Where are we? We're not aligned. We stopped being aligned. And when you stop being aligned, therein lies the problem,
So if I'm an agent right now and I'm feeling stuck, or I'm feeling like I need to go find my tribe because I don't want to be solo, I want to have like this massive energy, what advice would you give agents to really go find their right tribe?
I bet you that you know exactly who you are most like. If you are thinking about, like right now, put yourself in a mindset of like, I'm going to think of all the agents in my office, right? And which ones are the most like me? Like maybe they just got married and have no kids, right? That's one group. Or maybe they are married and have young kids. That's another group. Maybe it's a male who's just recently divorced, and that's the alignment, right? Y'all do the like things together. If you're a sports person, it can align in very many different ways, but you have to align yourself somewhere, right? And we went out to dinner yesterday. It was so nice, and we had a really great conversation. Got to know each other on a different level, and we really realized we're really aligned. Like I think we're at the right stage of our lives that we're very compatible. I wouldn't have probably had the same exact lunch with a 32-year-old with 3 kids, right? I wouldn't understand, what they're going through right now. But I definitely, you and I, had this really deep conversation, and, it was wonderful to be able to relate to women at the same level that I was in this stage of my life. So I promise you that if you align with different people, and if you haven't talked to them in your office, reach out to them. And if you feel like this resonates with you, reach out to me. Do you know what I mean? I'm an open book. I really am. I'm here to help you guys. I'm at the stage of my life when I get to help people again, where I'm not distracted with kids. And now I'm a grandma, so I can relate to other people who have grandchildren. It's really awesome. And so what you can absolutely know for certain is change is inevitable, right? And you have to learn to jump into your change and know when it's time to find maybe a new group of people to hang out with that can elevate you to the next level where you need to be.
Right. So I think it takes a lot of introspection to really and be true to yourself, right? And honest with yourself on what season of life that you're in.
Yes.
To really find that right vibe and tribe, right?
Right.
So I want to shift just a minute to accountability. And I once heard that accountability is one of the greatest forms of love. And that
you could ask my dad about that.
Right? But that truly was a game changer for me. When I heard someone say accountability is one of the greatest forms of love, I was like, wow, like I just had not thought about it in that way, because I think so many times we feel accountability for some reason could have a negative connotation. It could have us, maybe start to feel a little anxious. And so I hope everyone today, for me, I hope everyone takes accountability as, you know what, that is someone loving me and they want to see me do well. So there's a reason why you ran a very successful team, and they were all, I mean, just if you want to very quickly share on average how many deals each one of your team members was closing, and there had to be some accountability there. So maybe just share a little bit about what you were doing to help keep your team on track and what type of accountability agents should be looking for.
The accountability, you know what? I think because we started all together. My accountability was this. If I'm at the office, you're at the office. You know, if I start at 8:30 in the morning, you start at 8:30 in the morning. And it was just a given, you know, and I think that it started out that way, and my expectation was that they work as hard as I do, right? That they're going to be accountable. If I'm accountable for you, if I pick up the phone at 9 o'clock, you pick up the phone at 9 o'clock. You know, that we make each other a priority. So, and lead by example. I think the best companies are led by a leader who you can see is working as hard as you are. He's, you know, also that person, if you say, I'm going to take care of that for you, you take care of it for you. You know, I had the power of, like, I have every VP of every major, you know, builder in the Dallas area on my phone. You know, some of the presidents, if I pick up the phone, they're having trouble with one of their deals, I pick up the phone and I make sure that I take care of it, you know. So, but also, if I give you a buyer and they need to see property on a holiday, that's what you signed up for. You know, I need to know that you're in it to win it, that you're there as much as I am. It took me a lot of money to get that buyer for you, so I need you to close that deal. So, and you know, because we were all so interconnected and understood, it was magic. It really was. It was so easy. There wasn't even a conversation about it. They just did exactly what I asked them to do, and they all worked so hard, and I did too. And, you know, that's why I'm going back to the part of, if you are a leader and you're seeing yourself not doing well, I mean, take a really hard look at yourself, and maybe it's you. You know, maybe it's you not leading it correctly. And maybe you should get some self-help books and start, you know, hanging around with really successful people. And then if you do have a team that is not there for you, you need to let it go, you know. And again, this cloud-based company now that I'm with is such a blessing, because instead of me just setting them free to go anywhere, now they have, from my team, they can go on to something different. They can launch into that company as well. There's just so many great things about that. And so I think that accountability is good. You know if you're doing a good job. You really, I don't think I have to even say it to you, right? If you're not coming in until 10 o'clock, if you're taking an hour and a half for lunch, and you live at 3 o'clock to pick up your kids, and you're like, I don't know why I don't sell any houses. I do. I know why you don't.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to pause for a moment.
Yes.
Because we have, and you got to meet her last night.
I did. I had lunch.
Yes. So for our Chicago audience and for our live stream audience, we are going to go into our Mortgage Minute, and then we're going to go into Q&A. So hopefully right now you're seeing on the screen a QR code. Would love for you to use that QR code or the phone number that you see, and please text in your questions. We're going to do a couple of quick questions with Alicia, and then we're going to break for our in-studio audience. We have a very special, exclusive VIP mastermind that we're going to be doing. So I would love for everybody to give a massive round of applause to a 30-year vet in the lending industry, Miss Irma De Leon.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. We had dinner last night. We got to, know.
Another person I align with.
Yes. I just want to let you know, I am taken aback by, you have this innate gift about you to understand what people, like what their gifts are, and you're willing to take the step back, right? Because like you said, if you're not good at listings, well, give that to someone else that is. And to do that, you had to move your ego out of the way, and you allowed that gift and that just to shine, and then for them to perform. And that's why you're at where you're at right now.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So much.
Yes. So, love is in the air. And today, as we celebrate Valentine's Day, I want you to imagine that there is a family an individual, a couple who would just love to have their very own home and to call it their own. But what's keeping them from doing that would be saving the down payment. Well, that's where we come in as your lender, where we specialize in affordable loan programs to break down these barriers. So for our heroes that have served our country, like veterans and or active service members, we have the VA loan, which is 0% down, no PMI, and minimal closing costs, as well as interest rates, low interest rates. So with that, because they've served our country, we allow them to have an opportunity to buy their homes with ease. Then we have our affordable loan program for those families that, really want to buy a home but maybe don't have the down payment that they've saved or money that they, would like to pay for closing costs. We have our 0% program, which is FHA. It allows them to buy a home with minimal costs. So today, as we celebrate love, let's remember that a home is just not a place. It's a place that love can grow. So if you have any questions with respect to any mortgage products that we can assist you with to allow those that would love to buy their very own home, please let's connect. Thank you.
Awesome. That was great.
All right, thank you, Irma. Okay, and so again, for our live stream audience and everybody in Chicago, hopefully right about now you're seeing a QR code and a phone number. If you would love to touch base with Irma and her team, if you would please text the code word MCA, and that will let Irma and her team know that you would like a little bit more info. Okay, so, and hopefully everyone's getting their questions ready and that you've texted them in. I need a minute to actually get to those questions on my computer. So while we're doing that, I would love for you to share one piece of advice to all the agents that are listening today who are now considering, maybe I should look into finding a running buddy or a team.
One extra piece of advice. Again, ask questions. My favorite agents are the ones that ask questions. If you're doing something, whatever that might be, and you have that little tinge of doubt, then you should probably be asking the question. And the agents that worry me the most are the ones that never ask questions when they're brand new and they never have anything to ask me. That's the scariest thing ever because I know they don't know, right? So find the person who you feel is someone that you would like to really be like, and that's who the people that I would start hanging out with. And I've literally had agents, I peppered them. I was like a 3-year-old. I peppered them with questions all the time, and sometimes they would be like, "I really don't have time for you." And I was like, okay, I just went to the next one, right? So most of your top producers normally are going to want to share with you. And if they don't, you call me, and I will be happy to share with you. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions that you have. It may take me a minute, but you know what? Just keep calling back, keep texting me, You'll get me. I promise you. You're never a bother to anyone. Anyone out there, watching me on YouTube right now, anyone in the audience, I am there to assist you. That's the only way we grow. And you'd be surprised how many times I'm like, I hadn't thought about that. And that, teaches me something new, And I can't say that I have all the questions, but I'll know where to send you to get them.
Okay, so this is a great first question. And I know you were talking about being a part of a cloud-based brokerage. And I think you should share who you're with.
I am. I started with Realty of America November the 11th of last year.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so, yay!
I love it.
Yay! And you had your own brokerage, and
I did.
So there's a whole story behind deciding, right, to move all of that over to Realty of America. And this agent is asking, gosh, this person really wants to find a tribe and a team. And she's saying, but gosh, you know what? I'm not located where you are. So again, I think this is a perfect opportunity to give people a different lens to look through on kind of this new model that exists and how we have no barriers anymore.
Okay.
It is limitless.
Right, it is limitless. And I joined Realty of America because It's a national company. It just started up. You know, I was with EXP before. I absolutely loved it. I know the CEO personally, Leo. It was really, really hard to go, but I didn't feel the love, right? And culture is everything. And so you know when you meet somebody and you have the same, you know, you align. I mean, I'm going back to alignment. It's all exactly the same. And when I met Eddie, the CEO of Realty of America, like I instantly felt a connection. Like he and I think a lot alike. We have a great, you know, we have a similar background. And so it made me very happy, and I knew that once I aligned with him, then I found myself again. And I think that's very, very important. And we are a national company, and that's another thing too, is that I can connect with other people in different states. We do have Zoom, and we can connect that way. We're going to meet at all the conferences. They can come to me. I have traveled so much since I started here. I've always traveled a lot to meet people. I always connected with business. But that's another thing. Like, you can't afford not to go, guys. If I hear from anyone, I can't afford not to go and meet this person. You can't afford not to. And that's a real thing. I promise you, if there's an opening in another state, go meet that person. You just got to get out of this shell. We need to start being people. You know, we sell real estate. We connect with people. We connect with sales people. And in order for you to advance in your business, you also have to get out there and meet other people that you admire. And I promise you, you will become them if you start acting like them.
Okay. Let's talk about this agent would like to know, there are homeowners out there who would like to sell but are still sitting on the sidelines because of interest rates. How are you overcoming that objection?
In my market, I'm in Dallas, Texas. We have a depreciative market, you know, depending on the pockets that you are in the suburbs. And I can show you them from a numbers perspective. You better get out while the getting's good. I mean, that's my spiel to someone who wants to sell. It's like, get out while the getting's good. It's depreciating from a listing perspective. So, and if they do want to wait and hold to purchase again, that's an easy, you know, hold pattern that you can get into. Just be sure to stay connected with them. You know, I'm going to share something very personal. Like, I'm going to sell my home. I see the writing on the wall. I have a lot of equity in my home. I want to make sure that I have that money to purchase houses or to reinvest when the market does go down. I see an opportunity happening. That is my dream home. When I tell you I live in a dream home, I live in a dream home. But, you know, you have to be smart about stuff. Do not make decisions based on your heart, you know, or your ego. If you got to scale back, you scale back. Live like you've never lived so you can live like you've never lived. That is something that Gary Acosta said to me in person one time, and it resonated so much with me. I lived in a 7,000 square foot home, and it was the last struggle, the last time, and I went into a loft apartment. Live like you've never lived so you can live like you've never lived. Because that way you can save your money and reinvest it and make a boom when the time is, you know, when it's time, right? Mm-hmm. And you'll have something even better. You never know. Mm-hmm. So sacrifice is a real thing.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of questions in here that are very similar.
I have questions?
Yes, there are a lot of questions in here. So I'm going to summarize a lot of them, and it does go back to listings.
Okay.
And so a lot of agents are asking, how do I get a listing? And I really want us to tie this into what we're talking about today with, hey, maybe it is time to partner up with a team. And even that co-listing idea that we talked about. So maybe can we frame this in a sense of, if you're struggling right now with listings, this might be the perfect time to think about aligning yourself with a team, with someone who has some massive branding and who's invested a lot of marketing. So let's maybe just revisit that conversation.
Right. First, you got to be really good at getting the listing. You got to be really good at the presentation. You have to also know your market. If you're going to a listing and you haven't previewed everything that's on the market, so that when you get there and you know it, because the first thing they're going to say is, well, that house down the street has been for sale for, 6 months. And you're like, yes, I previewed that before I came to your appointment. The reason that house is sitting there is because it smells like dog poop. You know, I mean, you know, you walk in and you want to get right back out, you know, and that really does make a difference. You can't see that in a picture, can you? So, I mean, until they invent smell vision or something, but like you have to know it. The minute I say something like that, the listing's mine, okay? Because it's powerful. Powerful knowledge is power, you know. And if you go out there and do the work. I love it when people say, but I don't know what to do today. Preview, learn your market, you know, specialize in the market, you know, get the word out, do the video, but also do the work. Do the video and do the work, okay?
Okay, so what is one massive lesson that you learned that you would love to share with other team leaders?
Never get divorced, dude. Figure it out. You loved him once, you know. You wanna lose your wealth? Get divorced. Yeah. You know what? It's gonna be.
Sometimes you know what you need to just let them go. So so sometimes that needs to happen.
Unless he's an abusive, but anyway, you know that. I'm not kidding. And I think when I cried, my eyelash got loose. Oh God. Guys, that really is true. You know, relationships are really tough. If you're a realtor, regardless if you're a male or female, you're gonna have some tough times in your relationships. You know, whether it's someone not letting you do what you need to do to get ahead, or you know, you have to have that conversation with the significant other. You know, that's a real thing. That's why working together as a husband and wife, if you become a power couple, is a really cool thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But even being on a team, again, I just keep going back to the fact that you led a successful team, the same group of people for 25 years.
Yeah.
And so there was a shared love.
There was.
And admiration.
There is still.
Right?
Yes.
And so
yes.
I think, again, that's just super important. And I'm just like, oh, it's Valentine's Day. We're just talking all about love today, right? But it really does matter because these are your people. They do become your family. And so let's just give one, how do you want to wrap this up today? What is the one like beautiful message that you really want to like send out into the world today? Really, because I started this show by saying I want everyone to feel hopeful. I want them to feel inspired and empowered and to know that you do not have to go at this alone. There is power in numbers.
There is.
Find your people. And if you have found yourself in a situation where you don't feel like you're with the right tribe, it is okay to make a change.
Right.
So if there's anyone out there today who just needs to hear and feel like they've been given permission to make a change, do it. You have your one life to live, and let's live it to the absolute fullest.
Right.
So how do you want to send us off today?
You know, it is Valentine's Day, but love everyone. Be kind. Be kind to one another and love each other and support each other. And, you know, take the negativity out of your mouth. Like, it just needs to not even be there. Support one another if someone's having a bad day. You know, make sure that, you know, you're there for support, not to fix it, but for support. And if you do find that person that you're like, why are you mad at me? Like, what did I do? You didn't do anything. They're having a bad day. If you know in your heart of hearts you didn't do anything, then don't worry about it. And that let them theory, that book that I was telling you about, talks a lot about that. That you just need to, you know, I have been in a situation where I'm like, oh my gosh, she's mad at me. I don't even know what I did. Well, it's because I didn't do anything. So love one another, be kind and accepting, and read the book. Read the book.
I love it. And is there one more book? What are your top 2 books that you want everyone to get their hands on?
Help me. We talked about this.
I know.
With, somebody. Where is she?
That's okay.
What's the name of the book?
Irma.
Outwitting the Devil.
Outwitting the Devil.
My goodness, you guys. That book, it's scary good. And I read it, and I will read it over and over. It is so inspiring, and when you read that book, your life will change. It will change. Everybody who's going to read the book, raise their hand right now.
Yes.
And where's the person who said no? Because I'm going to come after you personally. All right.
All right.
I love you guys.
I
really
love it.
do.
Okay, so our DJ is going to start pumping up some music. I want us to give a huge round of applause to Alicia Trevino, $1 billion producer.
Thank you. Yay!
Yay! Thank you so much for being on the show today. So I want to give a shout out to everybody in Chicago and all of our live streamers. We are going to be back here next Friday, 11 a.m. Central, with another phenomenal guest. I promise you do not want to miss it. So for everybody who's here in our studio audience, we're getting ready to break for a very special, exclusive VIP mastermind. And I'd love for everybody to join us up on stage for some photos. Please, if you are behind the camera virtually, I would love for you to take some pictures and tag us, hashtag us, America's Real Estate Show. Go to our YouTube channel, click that subscribe button, because when you do, you are the first to be alerted when we are going live, and I promise you do not want to miss one episode. So we will see you next Friday, and have a beautiful, loving Valentine's Day from all of us here at America's Real Estate Show. Bye.